channel where we spread love and positive vibes. I'll start the video by thanking our new subscribers and our returning subscribers. We value you, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for supporting us. Those that like the video, those that comment, the keyboard reactors, we thank you so much. We don't take you for granted and we salute you. And today we are going to see the great contribution, the great assistance, the great brotherly love shown by Jamaican people to Africa and all over the world. In other words, we are looking at contribution of Jamaica to the mankind, showing love to people that need love. Jamaica is a small island, and I keep on saying that, by the way, guys. It's a small island with very, very low population. But it is unbelievable the contribution, the love, the extension of hand we have seen Jamaica giving other nations. The shoulder to cry on, lifting the burdens of other people and actually relieving them and putting a smile on their faces. It's not a joke what Jamaicans have done to so many countries here in Africa and even in the globe. Some of the achievements that Jamaica has achieved has actually uplifted the lives of people in Africa and also globally. I actually ask myself, what is so unique? What is so special about Jamaican people that can make them to have a big impact all over the world, yet it is a small island? I think love, like it is said, conquers all. When you love, it does not matter the size of your nation or how small you are or how your country is in size. You can do great work. And we're going to go through one by one the achievement of Jamaica globally and even in the African countries. Do you know some of the African countries are independent today because of Jamaica? Thanks to Jamaica, that people can walk freely, people can do their shenanigans freely without any person interfering. Because of the contribution that Jamaica did to liberate these people from slavery, to liberate these people from colonialism, to liberate these people from apartheid. And I want to tell you, we have great men and women of Jamaica that were on the front line to say no to oppression, to say no to discrimination, to say no to non-equality in different regions in Africa and even beyond Africa. Jamaica did not just fight for political freedom, it also fought for other issues that affect people in life. We have the issue of drugs that affects every society in the world. Drugs is a problem everywhere. Jamaica has been on the front line to fight against the drug trafficking, the drug abuse, and all that comes with drugs and illicit brew. Jamaica has in the front line, like you're going to see, in the environmental fight against pollution. It has been on the front line in every issue that affects society. And this is what we call love. This is what we call great people. This is what we call a people that is concerned with the welfare of others at large. If I may start, I will look at the people of Jamaica, or the people that are born in Jamaica, that have done great contribution to the change that we see in the world, to the change that we see in Africa, to the great things that we enjoy today. One of those great leaders is actually Manley. Manley was the Jamaican Prime Minister at one time. And this man believed in self-reliance, believed in self-independence, believed in people who are liberated, who can think on their own, who can develop their own country, who can move forward on their own and build a strong nation without interference. He believed in a society where there is no discrimination, a society where everyone is treated equally, a society where anyone can highlight their feelings without being looked upon the color of their skin or the country they are born from. This man actually fought for Africans to be liberated from the colonial masters. We are going to look at his contribution to the independence of most of the countries in Africa. Michael Manley one time visited Zambia. And when he visited Zambia, he actually saw what Zambians were going through under the colonial masters. And it hurt him until he said, whatever problem that faces Zambia also faces Jamaica. In other words, when the Zambians are faced with a problem, when Zambians are crying, when Zambians are going through a tough time, it's like Jamaicans are going through that themselves. This is great love. In other words, according to Michael, anything negative that happens in Africa should be considered like it is happening in the Caribbean or specifically in Jamaica. He considered the African people like his brothers and sisters, and he would not have stood and wait to see them being oppressed or to see them going through a tough time or to see them being brought down. And I want to tell you that Michael, he did not just talk. He proved whatever he was saying in action. Actually, when he went to Zambia, I think it is still during this time, he actually declared his support to the guerrilla wars that were happening in South Africa so that apartheid and South Africans' oppression can come to an end. And therefore, he declared that he's going to support South Africa in their guerrilla wars against the colonial masters, and he actually did that. He also promised to support the countries that were under the colonial rule, Zimbabwe and Zambia and South Africa, financially, morally, and the support that you need when you are going through a tough time. This help can only come from a genuine brother, a brother that loves you, a brother that cares for you, and that is what Jamaica proved to be to the African people. And therefore, Michael really sent his financial contribution to the Zambia people when they were going through a very tough time to ease the problems that were going through, that the Zambians were going through. Can you imagine a country all the way from the Caribbean coming to Africa, finding problems in Africa, and they are ready to support financially, morally, and even physically? Because assisting in the guerrilla wars, it means that Michael was ready to support the South Africans until they attained independence. And that is what happened. And the commission was also offered to, actually it offered through Michael Manley to stand side by side with the freedom fighters that were fighting against colonial rule. Jamaica was the first to actually contribute financially to Zambia to ease the problem it was facing. Actually, I had said that earlier. So not only Jamaica was giving help in terms of moral support, in terms of material support, it was also contributing financially for the African countries to attain independence. It was spearheading huge programs in education and literacy. Remember that I said Michael believed in a self-reliant government, a government that does not rely on others for its development. To attain this, then you need people who are educated, people who are actually knowledgeable in terms of technology, in terms of all what is being done in and therefore he spearheaded programs of literacy and programs in education and also in agriculture, because Jamaica itself is a backbone where there is a lot of agriculture. And therefore, according to Michael Manley, he knew that if Jamaica can develop in terms of agriculture, in terms of the tourism, in terms of all those things that happen in Jamaica, they can be self-reliant and actually spearheaded in other nations so that self-reliance can be attained. Jamaica was part and parcel of fight against apartheid in South Africa. It was the first country to declare trade embargo against South Africa as early as 1957. That means that before even South Africa attained independence, Jamaica was behind them pushing for freedom for the South African people. It's only a real brother that can do that. Jamaica was ready to assist each and every country to attain independence. Jamaica also supported United Nations decision aimed at its elimination of apartheid. So Jamaica was well represented in the United Nations, like we are going to see still in this video. And therefore, using its representation, it actually helped a lot in the fight to eliminate apartheid by the United Nations. Zimbabwe, freedom, Jamaica contributed a lot. It contributed to the fall of white minority regime in southern Rhodesia, which is currently known as Zimbabwe. So they were on the front line for Zimbabwe government to attain independence, or the Zimbabwe people to actually attain independence. Imagine fighting for all those people coming all the way from the Caribbean and coming to stand with Africans so that they can attain independence. And you tell us not to talk about Jamaica? We will talk on top of the mountains to say how great they are. We don't talk because we don't mean it. We talk because we have seen the actions, the love, the great embrace that the Jamaican people have embraced Africa. I have started by saying Michael himself declared that the problem that is happening to the African people is actually Jamaican problem. In other words, he was saying when the African brothers and sisters are crying, Jamaica are also crying with you people. No one can give you a soda to cry on unless they are real brother, they are real sister, they are great people. And that is why we talk about it. And actually, we always talk about Jamaica because we have come to embrace them, we have come to know them, we have come to know their contribution to the African as a continent. And we have seen they can also be an inspiration to many of us because they have started so many programs as a small nation, as a small country, spearheading so many programs and fighting for so many people, yet they are just a small nation. That is a great inspiration to the African people. Other achievements that were attained by Jamaica are, Jamaica has also been vigorously involved in the effort to actually solve the problem of imbalances. To speak the truth, there is a lot of economical imbalances to the northern developed countries and the southern underdeveloped countries. And therefore, Jamaica has been on the front line to actually bring about the imbalances, either lessen them, in other words, to lessen them, or actually completely eliminate the imbalances that we see with different countries, the developed and the underdeveloped. The membership of 77 people was actually chosen to make sure that the imbalances issues are sorted out. The imbalances economically, the imbalances of equality, the imbalances of chances in different platforms. And this membership of 77 was to actually sort out the problems of economical imbalances and fully was supported by Jamaica, and it was part of it. In other words, in the 77 members, Jamaica contributed its members to actually spearhead the balance between the developed and the underdeveloped countries. Apart from that, the other area that Jamaica participated in is the role of the sea. Jamaica experts, led by its Solicitor General, Kenneth Roffrey, was active in the evolution of the negotiation and the crafting of the UN Convention on the Role of the Sea. It was signed by 119 countries in Montego Bay in December 1982. This was the role that was actually very, very important, because remember that Jamaica actually relies on the brew economy, and so many countries relies on the brew economy, and therefore this role was very, very necessary so that they can be independent in their economy in terms of the brew economy. It established a universal framework for the management of the marine resources and their conservation for future generations. So this role was actually to state how the marine economy can benefit the people of that particular country and the conservation of the marine economy. Remember that it's not easy to actually have, like the Caribbean Sea, which is shared by so many countries, without rules and regulations governing the sea, so that you do not destroy the sea and you destroy the economy, the brew economy of the sea. So this rule was very, very important to Jamaica and any other country that relies on the brew economy. So Jamaica was in the front line, and it actually participated in terms of membership in the inauguration of this role of the sea. It became the first country to host UN membership and the first country to actually host the UN body. You can imagine such a small country becoming the first country to host UN body, and it has been done by very few countries in the world, and actually Jamaica acted as the first and among the few that has hosted the UN. It was a great achievement to Jamaica during the passing on of this role of the sea, because they were able to host the UN and actually pass the rule and the regulations of the sea so that people can benefit from it. So, another achievement of Jamaica is environmental issues. And the Jamaican permanent representative to the United Nations, new global concerns on environment were brought to the forefront of the international community conventions. So it was a role, or rather it was a concern to the environmental issues, and this role was brought to the Environmental Convention by the representatives of Jamaica in the United Nations. And in 1972, the Environmental Conference in Stockholm, Sweden, the United Nations adopted a historical declaration on the need for new principles to safeguard the world's natural environment. So you can imagine that Jamaica was actually acting as the representative in this convention, and they passed a declaration on the need for new principles to safeguard the world's natural environment. So that was a great achievement in terms of the environment. Remember, we have talked about the role of the sea, where Jamaica spearheaded the inauguration of the role of the sea, and actually its inauguration session of the International Seabed Authority was held in Kingston in November 1994. So Jamaica was actually participating in so many changes in terms of economy, the brew economy, the environmental issues, and other so many issues that it was participating in. It also participated in the combating of illegal drugs. I had talked about Jamaica actually playing a very great role in combating the illegal drugs. Jamaica has made significant contribution in the multilateral arena for the improvement and strengthening of the capacity of the intellectual and the community to combat drugs abuse and the illicit trafficking of substances. In other words, they have actually participated a lot in the trafficking of drugs and in the abuse of drugs. This is a very, very area of concern to every person in whichever country they are in, and therefore the fight against drugs, it's a concern to everyone, and for Jamaica to spearhead and participate in it, it was a great plus. Jamaica also participated in actually so many proposals about the drug abuse and the drug trafficking, and they were passed through, which means that there was a lot of work that Jamaica was doing behind the scene to actually work on the drug abuse and drug trafficking. In February 1990, the global programs and the political declaration to further expand international cooperation to deal with the use of drugs were adopted. So through the representation of Jamaica and other countries involved, there was this declaration that was signed in 1990 that was actually to work on fighting against drug abuse and drug trafficking. Dr. Winston Davidson from Jamaica, chairman of National Council on Drug Abuse, was among the 15 experts from developed and underdeveloped countries who are appointed to advise and assist the Secretary General of the UN in enhancing the efficiency of the UN structures for the control of drug abuse. So you can imagine one of the Jamaican people, actually this guy, Winston Davidson, was elected among other 15 members to actually give advice to the Secretary General of the UN in enhancing the efficiency of the UN structures for the control of drug abuse. In other words, Jamaica has played a very great role in terms of drug abuse and drug trafficking all over the world, because the UN represents everyone all over the world. And for Jamaica to participate in this was a great plus. Jamaica also participated in the status of women. For very many years, especially here in Africa, women have been considered as the inferior gender. Women could not be allowed to participate actively in politics, in economic areas where there is a lot of great decisions to be made. And even up to now, it's not very, very good in terms of women participation in political positions and even economical decisions that actually affect the society. And for women to be given a chance to actually participate in these decisions, it is very, very important, because women knows the pain of children. And therefore, there is no way women can actually bring about the fall of the economical or oppression of their own children. And therefore, Jamaica was on the front line to talk about the equality of men and women, the gender equality. And to prove this, they actually had some of their women in very, very great positions in the United Nations. I'm going to mention the position and the name of this woman who was actually actively participated in the decision making in the United Nations. So this great woman was Dr. Russell Meyer, a Jamaican, served successfully as Secretary General of the World Conference of the United Nations Decade of Women, held in Copenhagen in 1980. Prior to that, she served as a special advisor to the UNICEF on women's development. In 1983, she was invited to serve as Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on the Questions of Palestine, which was held in Geneva. So this woman was actually participating in very, very great positions that required great decisions to be made, and Jamaica therefore proved that they are ready to support women, they are ready to make women shine, they are ready to actually put women there up on the map. And we have seen women, great women from Jamaica, like Kamala Harris. We have also seen other women, like the women that participate in athletics, Sherian Fresher, and others, great women in fashion industry in Jamaica, great women in Miss Universe pageant. Women have been very, very encouraged and supported in Jamaica. We also looked at this woman who was actually vying for the Miss World title when she was 50 and above, and the husband was there supporting her. So we have seen great support of women in Jamaica. In overall, Jamaica has actually achieved a lot, both in Jamaica, Africa, and globally. Jamaica has been a force to reckon all over the world. Maybe we can say Jamaica has been able to achieve all this because of its great participation in the United Nations. Why did Jamaica actually make through such great positions in the United Nations? Such a small country getting recognition, getting representative in the United Nations, and being able to give decisions that are actually accepted and implemented, proposals that are taken and implemented. It's not a small achievement. And therefore we salute Jamaica. We thank Jamaica for the great work that it has done to the African people and to the world at large. See you during the next video. Bye bye and God bless.